Hello, viewers, and welcome back to Biblical Hot Topics. Today, our topic is entitled, God Might Have to Raise Up Another Judge for Israel. The people of Israel did evil in the sight of Yahuwah, and you can find that in Judges 1, chapter 1 through chapter 3. Then the angel of the Lord came up from Gilgal to Bochum and said, I led you up from Egypt and brought you to the land that I swore to your fathers. This is God talking to the Israelites, okay? And I said, I will never break my covenant with you, talking to the Israelites, and you shall make no covenant with the inhabitants of the land. You should tear down their altars, but you have not obeyed to my voice. Why have you done this? Therefore, I also say I will not drive them out from before you, but they will be a thorn in your side, and their gods will be a snare unto you. This was the beginning stages of God leaving the people of Israel. Let's move on. So it was, when the angel of the Lord spoke these words to all the children of Israel, nobody could say they didn't hear it. The people lifted up their voices and wept. Then they called the name of that place Bochum, which means a place of weeping. And they sacrificed to the Lord there. And when Joshua had dismissed the people, the children of Israel went each to their own inheritance to possess the land. Listen carefully. Now, each tribe was to perform a particular strategy as a scheme to possess this land and to drive the inhabitants of Canaan out. So, the people served the Lord all the days of Joshua. Listen carefully. And all the days of the elders that outlived Joshua, the ones that had seen the awesome works of the Most High God. Now let's stop there for a minute. I want to just go back just a little bit before the arrival of the people at the gate of the promised land, okay? A little bit of history. Preceding the arrival of Yahshua's people Israel to the gate of the promised land, the Most High Yahuwah allowed Moses to go up on the mountaintop to see the promised land, but he did not permit him to enter therein due to disobedience. At the end of the Exodus and the adventurous 40-year in the wilderness experience, the Most High Yahuwah, instructed Moses to turn his leadership over to his successor. Do you have a successor? We need a successor, okay? Over to his successor, Joshua. At the arrival of the promised land, the Israelites found that other people was living in their God-given land. So the Most High Yahuwah came to the people. He came to the people of Israel in the form of an angel. And he reminded them of the past blessings that he had rendered to them by way of delivering them from Egypt. And he reminded them of the covenant he made with their forefather Abraham. Refreshing their memory, right? The Most High God told them he swore to never break the covenant. he made with Abraham, including Abraham's offspring, specifically, listen carefully, specifically the Hebrew Israelites born of his son Isaac. Isaac was the one that the promise was to come through. And everyone that was born of Isaac was included in that promise. Let's move on. Due to this covenant, the Most High Yahuwah rescued the Israelites time and time again from their oppressors. He reminded them of the importance of keeping his covenants and his commandments, particularly in this case. He commanded them to not form covenants with the inhabitants of the land of Canaan, now known today as Israel. He let them know that he had knowledge of them breaking the covenant regarding the Canaanites and the other inhabitants. He commanded them to drive out of the land before occupying it. The reason the Most High God said drive, listen carefully, my people. Listen carefully, all my viewers, okay? The reason the Most High God said drive the people out of the land was because he knew the characteristics of those people. He knew their heart. He knew their makeup. He knew the kind of people that would come out of them. And that's why he said, drive them out. He knew that they would be a pain. They would be a pain for Israel, for the Israelites. He knew that they would set traps. And he knew that they would harass the Israelites. My people, dear viewers, listen carefully. Anytime the Most High God tells us to do something, he's not telling us to do this because he's God and he can bully us, and if we don't do it, he can strike us down. No. He's not doing it for that reason. Anytime the Most High God tells us to do something, he tells us to do it because it's for our own good. Because he already knows what the outcome is going to be. The Israelite leaders, nevertheless, took it upon themselves to occupy the land. And what they did was they formed tributes with the inhabitants thereof. In doing so, they forced Yahuwah to remove his protection from them, therefore allowing their consequences to overtake them. His orders to drive the inhabitants out of the land, again, was for our own good. But he set people in place that really was not equipped. I take that back, I'm sorry. I won't say God set them in place, because God had given the order, and it was the forefathers that was supposed to pass this order down, right? But he had set these people was the people that was next to be in leadership for the tribes, okay? But they were not equipped. So let's move on. Instead, now, the collective problem they had among all the tribes was this. This was the Joshua generation. The Joshua generation had failed to pass the stories and the laws and commandments down to the succeeding generations. And neither did Joshua raise up a successor for himself. As a result, this generation did not have the love and the respect for the Most High Yahuwah their fathers had. So they set out to form their own kingdoms, much like our people today, showing forth self gratification, self glorification, and made tributes, as I mentioned earlier, with the inhabitants of the land. You can find that Judges 2:10. This behavior can and more than likely encourage individual wealth while disregarding their tribes or their people's essential needs collectively. Because anytime God blessed the Israelites, he blessed them collectively. So now we were going into another, like a worldly phase of individuality, more than likely, okay? Therefore, this behavior gave form to bad motives, and division among the tribes of Israel took place. I like how this one online site that I found is called Got Questions puts it when responding to the statement of the Bible have a lot to say about motives, and this is what it says. A motive is the underlying reason for any action. You have a motive for anything that you do. Listen. Then it uses Proverbs 6:2, which says, a person's ways seem pure to them, but motives are weighed by the Lord. I'm going to say that again because it's important, okay? A person's ways seem pure to them, but motives are weighed by the Lord. The next scripture that this online site used was Jeremiah 17:9, which says, because the human heart is very deceitful. It goes on to say, we can easily fool ourselves. Listen carefully. Because you're not fooling nobody else. Because when you come with all that deceitfulness, we're living in the age of information right now. All you got to do is click a button. You can find out all kinds of stuff. You don't have to go to the library like you used to have to. I mean, it's good to still go to the library, okay? Because the information at the library is more detailed, okay? But you got to be careful with your deviousness and with your, you thinking you slick. Because people can click a button and find out the truth, okay? So let's move on. Okay. So it goes on to say that we can easily fool ourselves about our own motives. We can pretend like we are choosing certain actions for God or to benefit others, when in actuality, we have selfish reasons. I know some people like that. They write on the internet all the time, making a whole bunch of noise, okay? The last verse that this online site talks about here is Hebrews 4:12, and it says, God is not fooled by our selfishness. Listen, and is a discerner of the thoughts and intents of our heart. You ain't gonna get away with it. You ain't gonna get away with it. You might get away with it for a little while. And listen, my viewers, I want everybody to listen to this, okay? Because it's very important. When Yahuwah blesses you, he does not bless you to gloat, flex, and glorify yourselves. He blesses you to bless each other. Now, if he blesses you and you do not bless each other with the things that he had been bestowed upon you, the consequences of Yahuwah may come upon you. This goes for everybody. Genesis 12:3 says, I will bless those who bless you. Listen. And whoever curses you, I will curse. Through you, every family of the earth will be blessed. Family you are a conduit for blessings. All you need to do is just get in position. Position yourself with the Most High Yahuwah. He'll take it from there. Getting back to the promised land issues. The Israelites broke the community laws, the commandments, causing broken families among the tribes, broken communities, broken laws, like I said, and Yahuwah's broken heart. Because the Israelites, because of their disobedience, Yahuwah withdrew his military forces. Listen, because this is the beginning of our downfall. And I want you all to listen carefully, because we are saying some things that's not completely relevant to what really happened. So let's listen, okay? Okay. Now, to see reference to what I'm saying here, I need everybody to turn with me to the book of Numbers, and we're going to go to chapter 33. We're going to read verses 55 and 56. Okay. Now, verse 55, it kind of gives us a clear. It kind of conveys a clear understanding of the consequences of Israel's disobedience. And this is what it quotes. It says, "But if you do not drive out the inhabitants of the land," listen, because it was important to do exactly what he said do, okay? He said, "But if you do not drive out the inheritance of the land from before you, then it shall be." We had warning, you all. We had warning. "It should be that those whom you let remain should be an irritant in your eye and thorns in your side, and they shall harass you in the land where you dwell." And that happens until this day. Okay. Now, I want you to keep that in mind. What we just said, keep it in mind. Yahuwah said, if you do not drive out the inhabitants of the land, then it should be that they shall be, those who you let remain shall be irritants in your eyes and a thorn in your side. Keep that in your mind, okay? Verse 56, and it says, "Moreover, it shall be that I shall do to you." Listen, okay, now listen. Because this is the beginning of the separation that was made between the Most High Yahuwah and his people. And it says, Numbers 33, verse 56 says, Moreover, it shall be that I shall do to you as I thought to do to them. All he told you to do was drive them out. He was going to take it upon himself to do the rest, okay? Now, here the Most High God, he did not say destroy them. He did not say go in there and kill the people. There was beautiful people in there. There was beautiful women in there. You know, you have beautiful flowers. You have beautiful animals. God make the things of the earth beautiful because they come from God, okay? All he said do was drive them out. He said don't live there among them. Drive them out, okay? Okay? But nevertheless, Yahuwah gave judges to deliver his people, Israel, in honor of his covenant that he had made with Abraham. He gave them judges. Now, Judges 2:16 says, "The Lord raised up judges who delivered them out of the hands of those who plundered them." Look, they didn't disobey God, didn't hear what he had to say. I'm talking about our people. I'm talking about our people with everybody, a lot of us acting like they so innocent. I'm going to read it again. Judges 2:16 says, the Lord raised up judges who delivered them out of the hand of those who plundered them. Yahuwah did this time. He did it time again. He didn't do it once or twice. He did it over and over. So now the Israelites got to the point where, hey, you know what? We special up in here. No matter what we do, God, he gonna fight our battles for us. He been doing it all these years, okay? This is the mentality that they probably thought because it had happened so many times, okay? So let's move on. Verse 17 of Judges 2, verse 17 says, but the Israelites wouldn't listen to the judges. He gave them judges, but the Israelites would not listen to the judges. And they played the harlot with other gods, and they bowed down to them in worship. They turned quickly from the ways in which their fathers walked. In obeying the commandments of God, they did not so. Verse 18. And when Yahuwah raised up judges for them, listen carefully, he was with the judges. Listen, because like I said earlier, this was the events that began to separate the Most High God from his people. I'm going to read 18 again, and it says, and when Yahuwah raised up judges, he was with the judges. It didn't say he was with the Israelites. He was with the judges and delivered them out of the hand of their enemies all the days of the judges. He left them. This is the point where God left us. God left us because he had rescued us time and time again. He had led us through the wilderness. He fed us fresh manna. A cloud came down from the skies. And a clean cloud came every day with fresh manna. The manna that came down the day before, God discarded of that. He sent fresh manna to come down so we could eat every day in the wilderness, honey. Where we didn't have to go out there and figure out what kind of foods we could eat and what was poisonous and what was not poisonous. He gave us manna to eat every day, fresh, on a fresh cloud every day. That's love, okay? So let's move on. Verse 19 says, and it came to pass, listen, when the judges was dead, God had already left us, because the last thing he did was he gave us the judges. And what did we do? What did our people do? They ignored the judges. They disregarded the judges. They disregarded the Most High God. They disregarded everything that he did. They didn't look back at nothing that he did for us in the past. They didn't look back at the wilderness experience or the Exodus. Okay, so now we find ourselves facing the consequences of our behavior, okay? Verse 19 says, and it came to pass, when the judges was dead, that they, the Israelites, corrupted themselves more than their fathers, and following other gods, and served them, and bowed down to them. They ceased not from their own doing. They wouldn't even cease from it. They didn't even stop think, wait a minute now, all this stuff God did for us, we better keep on doing what we used to do in the past, because he did all this stuff for us and our forefathers. I saw him do it when I was a kid. You know what I'm saying? Nor from their stubborn ways. They again intermarried the Canaanite women and gave their daughters to the Canaanite men, violating the laws, the statutes, and the commandments of the Most High God. That was the beginning of our hell on earth. That was the beginning. And a lot of us say, well, you know what they did was they came over and they stole us and they sold us and they owe us. I'm not going to go no further on that. The favor of the Most High Yahuwah became scarce. This is what I'm saying. I said all of that to say this right here. Yahuwah might have to raise up another judge for Israel. That's my opinion. I'm not saying that's in his plan. I'm not saying I got that from the Bible. That's my opinion. To uphold the promise that he made to Abraham, y'all, our people of today are resembling the days of Judges. Okay. In theory, I will attempt to create a hypothesis to give you a mental vision of what possibly happened in this situation, okay? I'm going to attempt to give you a mental vision, okay? I'm going to be using my imagination here. Now keep in mind, listen carefully as we go forward with this. The Canaanites, the inhabitants of the land, which was the Canaanites at the time, desired to stay in that land by any means necessary. I'm going to say it again. The Canaanites desired to stay in that land by any means necessary. I want you to keep that in your mind as we move forward, okay? So what happened? Our forefathers, Ray, Pookie, and Bobo and them, they had no love for our Elohim. They had no love for the covenants or the will or the commandments of the God that their forefathers did, right? Nevertheless, they went into the land they were supposed to conquer and began to mingle and to bond with the inhabitants therein, especially the women, fulfilling their selfish, lustful sexual desires and quenching the thirst of their trifling fantasies. I presume after having their way with the women of Canaan, you know how it goes. The next thing after you've had your way, you lay there and she lay there, and what happens? Pillow talk. Pillow talk took place. You know what I mean. Loose lips, sink ships. Okay? Our brothers, the forefathers, probably told their bed partners all about the insurrection they were supposed to execute. You know how it go. Ultimately, secrets leak out. It leak out from some of us, from our lips, during the pillow talk. In return, the bed partners, the Canaanite women, hurried back to their leaders to tell them the plans and action that the Israelites was about to execute. The news gave the Canaanites, it gave the leader of the Canaanites an opportunity to counteract the plans of the Israelites. It gave them a chance to strategize. They came up with a plan. Their plan was to use their finest weaponry. The women of Canaan, who the Israelite men had already bonded with, and to weaponize the music. Okay? In the meanwhile, the Israelite men took their strategic positions after they done had their way, and you know how they do. Hey, they done had their way, they done had their fun. Then they come back and tell you, well, I was married because you know what you getting into. They done had their fun. Now, they're going to tell you the truth. We can ready to run y'all out the land. Okay, this is what happened. Okay, so they ran their simple-minded behinds up in there. They went up in Canaan 5 tribes deep. 5 tribes! Probably had 10, 20, 30,000 people per tribe, okay? Ran up in there. The world knew about Israel. The whole world knew about Israel. They knew about the Israelites because they knew that they were the people of God. The world knew that when the Israelites come up in your land, they getting ready to take it over because God sent them there to get them that land. They knew that. So they had to get ready for these idiots, okay? Because that's what they was. They sold us out. Okay. So they ran up in there 5 tribes deep. Strategically, from all directions. They came from the north, the south, the east, and the west. Ran up in there to conquer the land, to drive the Canaanites out, right? On the other hand, the Canaanites was ready for their simple-minded behinds, okay? Immediately, the Canaanite men began to play the weaponized music and the frequency of a heartbeat to calm them down. They came in to drive them out. They came in for, I won't say war, I say for a battle. So they came in to drive them out. They put the music on, the heartbeat. The heartbeat, a baby in the womb. 9 months. The heartbeat calmed him, caused him to sleep. He was safe. It was warm in there. No problems. So they used that, the frequency of the heartbeat, to calm the Israelite men down. The Canaanite men began to bellow out a rap similar to Megan Thee Stallion and Cardi B song. We got some Thors in the camp. We got some Thors in the camp. We got some Thors in this camp. We got some Thors in the camp. The women. We got the wet avies. We got some Thors in this camp. 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 We got the wet avies. The women started slinging it. Dropped down to the ground. Began to hump the surface of the earth with such vigor that the dust of the earth flew up and all around them. The heartbeat continued as the women danced, humped the ground. The dust flew through the air. The men. We got some Thors in this camp. 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 The women. We got the wet AVs. And y'all can probe those little pink things hanging in the back of our totes. Ray Ray, Bobo, and Pookie and them just lost their minds. They forgot what they ran up in Canaan for. They forgot. They grabbed their pants, Michael Jackson style, started wandering and roaming all around the courtyard. Instead of running the Canaanites out, they running around holding their pants and yelling wild animal noise. Woo! the Michael Jackson style stuff, you know, and feeling themselves and thinking about their own kingdoms. Forgot all about the kingdom of God. Thinking about their own kingdoms. And how many, and which included multiple wives. They didn't think about a kingdom that could win a war, because they was used to the Most High God winning the wars for them. But what they didn't realize was, at this point, the Most High God had made himself scarce. He had removed himself from them, not in totality, but enough to let them face the consequences of their decisions. They left their posts. I'm talking about our brothers now. Dropped their weaponry. And all they thought about was fantasy. How many of these beautiful women they can have to be their wives. A lot of them didn't even bother to go back home or to go back to their kingdom wives, because they had married the Canaanite women. I call them the wave dancers, the wet AVs. The wet AVs. So they went on and married the wave dancers. A lot of them didn't even go back to their wives. But the ones that did go back, I imagine they said something stupid like, woman, I'm a man. God made me a man. And he want me to enjoy myself with all the wives I can afford. Abraham did it. And Genesis 3:16 says, I'm going to rule over you. So I'm going to start ruling over your behind right now. You just jealous. And these women, I didn't know I was going to fall in love with these foreign women. I know all I did was went into the courtyard, and my eyes met their eyes. And next thing I know, we had fell in love with each other. I didn't do nothing with them telling a damn lie. And then the next thing I know, that's what happened. And so, since God said in Genesis 3:16 that I'm going to rule over you, then I'm going to rule over you. Now, these women can be my wives just like you my wife. And now, if you don't like it, you can leave. Because I done already married the woman. I done already married me 5 of them. And these my wives. This was our downfall. Y'all listen carefully. Listen carefully. So, you know, as the leaders of the tribes, from time to time, they had to go back and they had to, have meetings among each other and talk about different strategies or different things that, and also God was included to tell them different things. But now, that was kind of scarce. But they weren't thinking about that. All they thought about was all this wild and crazy sex they had. But see, the whole thing was a setup. The whole thing was a setup back then, and it is now today. To have all this wild and crazy sex to get your mind off of who you are, to cause division between you and God, to cause division between you and your woman, the woman of your kingdom, the woman that God had chosen to dominate and have dominion with you. That was the trap. But they was too stupid to see it, because all they was thinking about was the head that was on below, the head that was below their, that was below their torso. That's the only, what they was thinking about, okay? So they had to go into their meetings from time to time, all the tribes. And they probably started their meetings with, why can't we all just get along? God didn't tell them to go in there to get along with nobody. He said, go in there and drive the people out of the land, and so that you can go in there and occupy the land. I don't give the land to you. I'm going to deliver it to you in your hand. So this is what they on their own, right? Now they're on their own. Okay. Like I said, a lot of them probably even bother to go back to their wives, okay? They probably ran into somebody like a Kevin Samuels type, who encouraged them to see their kingdom wives as dogs to be tamed, or to leave them alone to die. If they couldn't tame them, leave them alone to die. You're a black woman. You're going to die by yourself. And if you don't do what I tell you to do, you're going to die by yourself. Excuse me 1 minute. Okay, sorry about that. Because I'm a man. And I'm a big man. And you just jealous. And by me being a big man, I need all these wives. Okay. 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 So this is my imagination of what happened during this whole situation. Now, again, the reason why the Most High God was said to drive these people out of the land was because he was attempting to protect his people, Israel. He was attempting to protect us. Yahuwah wanted Israel to have the land. And this is some of the best land on the earth. Israel, Jerusalem, is the best land on this earth. That's my opinion, okay? And for what I'm learning from the Bible, that is the truth, okay? The Most High God wanted Israel to have this land. He wanted us to have this land, my people, so that we wouldn't be in the condition that we're in today. A people without a land, residents in a strange place. Now, if you don't believe that you're a resident, I need you to do your research. Do your research. You're going to find out right now today you're still a resident in the land where you are. You really don't have no rights. That's why they kill you, kill your kids. You really don't have no rights. You really don't have, the laws really don't apply to you. You're just a resident. They really don't even consider you a citizen. Now, you look that up for yourself. The reason why God wanted to give us this land, he led us here. He tried to set us up here. The next reason is because he did not want us to be a people without a country. A people without a country are called blacks, niggers, colors. Every 3 or 4 decades, we get a new name. African Americans, people of color. That's a people without a land, and that's what he tried to prevent. The next thing the Most High God tried to prevent his people from going through, he tried to prevent us from being a predestined, blessed, and great people resembling paganism. If you look around on every corner of the earth, the great people, the people that God intended to be a reflection of him, are like pagans. They look just like pagans. The Most High God led his people to the land of Israel to reflect himself upon the earth. Listen, ones who would be set aside. He wanted us to be people that were set aside for himself. People that he had made in his own image and his likeness to represent him upon the earth. To restore them back to their greatness and make them capable of receiving dominion, the ability to have dominion over the earth. And his plan was also to make them worthy of his forevermore. Oh my God, you'll never die. He wanted us to be worthy of this kingship that he was to usher us into forevermore. But we want to blame everybody else. Our forefathers put us in this predicament that we're in today, people. And our people are repeating the acts of this generational curse. I'm not saying that our oppressors won't pay for oppressing us. They are paying as I speak to you on this video. They are piling coals of revenge upon their head as I speak to you. Why? Because they have ruffled the waves of the universe. They have activated the law of reaping what you have sown, which is the first law of the universe. They've shown seeds of doom, so doom will be their harvest in due season. So as it was written, the Canaanites became the thorn in Israel's side and a snare to them. This was what all the people of Israel had to face because of our forefathers' bad choices. This condition is upon us today. It has amounted to nearly 500 years of hell on earth. Men are men. You have more power than you think you have. And you hurt people. You change the lives of people for generations. And you need to pay attention to the things you do. I don't care how many men decide that it's okay to be gay. I don't care. I know a lot of y'all gonna be mad at me now. I expect to get a whole lot of attention from this video. I expect to. It's not okay for you to be gay. You're not a part of this system. You're in this system, but you're not a part of it. Let's move on. It grieves me to hear our black men say they don't like black women. I understand. I understand to a certain degree. You don't like the monsters that you made because the black women are the way they are because you made them that way. And because you help and assist the system of separating us. And that's what caused us to do what we're doing. A lot of our women, and I'm not taking up for them because a lot of them is wrong, but they are products of their environment. Okay, let's go on. Your foolish thinking has been your undoing since the days of Judges and even until this day. Your foolish thinking has been your undoing until this day. So because all other men tell you to try, try being a down low brother. It ain't that bad. It feel pretty good. And you go do it. Not knowing who you are, not caring about who you are, not doing any research. You just do it, and then you expect, well, maybe things get better. Things get no better. Things don't get no better because you're making it hard because of the things that you're doing. Your foolish ways had a lot to do with the separation of the black man and the black woman. You helped. But guess what? The Most High God don't need you. He already did the calculation. He don't even need you. I am not, like I said, I'm not taking up for the women because we done did wrong things too, and I'll get to that, okay? But the daughters of Zion are rapidly fessing up. They're rapidly, I'm going to say manning up. Because if it's not a man to man up, then the woman got to man up because she the helpmate. If a man ain't going to man up, then the woman got to man up. Okay? God made the black woman for himself. That's why he called her chosen. God made the man, the black man, for himself. I know a lot of y'all gonna be mad at me. I'm just saying what the doggone Bible said, and you don't have to take my word for it. All you gotta do is get in the Bible and see for yourself. So don't come on my comments saying a lot of stupid things, okay? Don't do that. Go see for yourself. And that's why he said, my chosen people. If everybody was included the way the church say that they are, why would the words in the Bible that says God's chosen people be sufficient? Those words shouldn't even be in there if what you're saying is true. Why is it saying my chosen people? Okay? God made the man for himself. He made the black woman for himself. He made that black woman a helpmate. That black woman is his helpmate. If you decide you want to be a down low brother, if you decide that you want, you don't like the black woman because she ugly and she got nappy hair and all this kind of stuff, and you want to be with every other woman but her, it's okay. For right now, because he have made her a helpmate for himself. And if she cannot help you, she'll help herself. Now let me say this right here. You can find a woman, a black woman, I'm saying. She got kids, they doctors, they lawyers and everything. She never had no man. She never had no man. He was always separated. He went to everybody else. Everybody was cuter than you and everything, So she couldn't help you. He designed her to be your helpmate, but you wasn't there. So what she do? She helped the kids. The kids, the families came out okay. They didn't have everything that they needed, but they came out okay. She was a helpmate for him. I see a lot of them on the social medias, with the word of God and going forward for the things of God. I think a lot of them are doing the things that our men should be doing, but they doing it because they the helpmate. So God has made the black woman the helpmate of the earth. She the helpmate of the earth and of the universe. So guess what? He don't need you. He already got you in the calculation of the 2/3 that's going to be destroyed. He don't need you. And then a lot of the men run around and say, okay, well, we can have 5 or 6 wives because there's more women than men. But you know what? If you stop and pay attention to the ones that's really what we call ladies. I ain't talking about females and, well, all of them females and everything because they got vaginas. I ain't talking about that. I'm talking about the ones that's really a lady as we consider here in captivity, okay? It's not more of them than it is men. It's less of them. It's less. If you move all the ones that's doing the things of the world, it's less good women than it is good men. It's less. So you need to do your calculation over again. Okay, so let's move on. So the next thing I like to say here is this selfish, ignorant behavior of our forefathers led us into the belly of the slave ships. The Canaanite women that our men had fell in love with, they didn't come on the ships with us. They was glad. They thought we was gone. They had to land again. The Israelite men was led in chains on a ship along with the Israelite women, along with the Israelite children, and who was at some point they was all separated from each other. The women laid next to the men, and we laid there next to each other. urine and urination and defecation and the woman's menstruation. And some of the trips that we were going to, like to the Caribbean, was like they was on them ships maybe 3 or 4 months to get to the Caribbean or wherever they were going, laying in human waste. I can only imagine the outcries of our people on that slave ship, calling out for God, the Most High God, who had always been there for them, who had always fought their battles, who have always subdued their oppressors. And I could imagine that a lot of the women forgave their men for leaving them, and for the Canaanite women, and bringing Canaanite women home and putting them above them as to be their wives, if the ones that stayed. I can imagine how they all cried out to God. But the Most High God had made himself scarce so that they could suffer the consequences of their behavior. Our brothers, and unfortunately, the women and the children, reaped the consequences of their leaders, who were the men, sinful and lustful desires. And to this day, we still suffer from that. Listen carefully to this next thing I'm going to say here, because this is for our men right here. This is for our men. I want you to listen carefully. It says, and I'm thinking, when the head is faithful, his house and his generations are blessed. When the head is disobedient, his house and his generations are cursed. Now, getting off this subject briefly, I like to say something here to an individual. There's a lady. She's not that young. I was going to say young lady, but she's not that young. There's a lady that she goes around from content creator to content creator, and she's taking the talking points for her selfish, devious glorification. I want to say to her, the love of God is not in you. You know, you talk all this God, 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 God stuff, and my people, my black people, my black people. The love of God is not in you. You point your finger at other races and talk about their behavior, but your behavior mimics their behavior. You're no different from them. You know who I'm talking about. I won't call your name, but you know who I'm talking about. If you had the Spirit of God that you say you have, you wouldn't be stealing what God gave to other people. So that tells everybody, because you think you're so smart and so slick, but that tells everybody that the Spirit of God is not in you. Because if the Spirit of God was in you, he would give you your own messages to convey to his people. He don't give it to you because you're not of God. I want to say that. You know exactly who I'm talking about, this person. Soon, everybody will see you for who you really are. Everybody will see you for who you are. The Spirit of God was never with you. Because if it was, you wouldn't be stealing. And you wouldn't show attitudes towards the people that God is using to put his word out here. Because if the Spirit of God was in you, that Spirit of God in you would recognize the Spirit of God of the people that you're stealing from, and you would not resent them. You would not hate them. You would not have a heart to steal for them. You would love them and would try to get closer to them, because they will be your sisters in Yahuwah HaMashiach. So you're phony. So I just want to say that. Okay? So getting back to the subject. We've been through a lot with our brothers. It is so sad, like I said, to hear them say things like, They don't like black women. But you know what? I understand. I understand why. Because in a lot of cases, a lot of our black brothers have adopted the ways of the world. And they don't like the black woman. They hate her because they want to be her. They are a Kevin Samuels type. They would like to get rid of her and replace her. And that's exactly what the system needs you to do, because they, right now we into depopulation. That's exactly what they would like for you to do. And so that's why we're, my opinion, they're upholding, well, you can't say this to, we have a order for homosexuals and stuff like that, and you can't say this to them, you can't say that to them, and a lot of you want to be us. So what you do is you degrade us and you belittle us, so hopefully you can take our place with the black men. Sicky, okay, bunch of sickies, okay, but that's what we're facing. This is very, very foolish thinking. God made you a man. He did not make a mistake when he did that. It's because of the things that you indulged in that you came up with those fantasies for more of what you indulged in, because you got an appetite for it. And the Bible describes that as sin begetting sin. So don't come and say, well, God made a mistake. I was a man. I had a cousin that used to say that. I was always a man, but in the body, but a woman was wrapped up inside of me. You're a lie. You went behind the bushes or wherever you did, and you did what you did with your fantasies or whatever, and then you from there you got an appetite to do it in that, and it went on from there. So don't even don't put God in it like that. Don't do that, because it's not true. Then you talk about their nappy heads. Have you ever thought about why our hair is nappy? Our nappy hair is a receptor to the universe. Our nappy hair is a receptor to heaven. The universe can communicate. It's like antennas. That nappy hair, it defies gravity and stand up, and God can give us stuff, and it come right down through that hair and to us, messages that He want us to convey to people. And then you talk about her skin, her black skin. The black woman's skin have a pact with the sun. Sun know not to burn her. The sun know to nourish her and to be gentle with her. You say they're unattractive. They're unattractive. If they're unattractive, I mean, why is other women seeking surgery, lips, butts, and so on, to have some of their characteristics or some of their physical constructs? Have you ever thought about that? Have you ever thought about why the system that we live in, and I remember this as a little girl, why the system is so bent on separating the black family? It's okay for you to marry any other woman from any other race. That's okay. It's not because she's cute. It's not because, well, y'all gonna have a baby with the good hair. It's a reason that's more deeper than that, much deeper than that. And what you need to do is do your research and find it. Because I'm going to say this much right here. You have no power without the black woman. I don't care what she's become. All of them have not become that. But you have no power without her. Because God has given her a heavenly, divine position in heaven and on this earth. Okay? There's conditions that I understand and heard of to where I'm gonna say like in the maybe in the music industry or what have you, where the black man had an ultimatum. You know, they have to sign contracts and stuff, and the contract includes their uh their demise. Okay, so he had an ultimatum: either you marry this foreign woman that's not a black woman, and you stay with her forever till she die, or whatever, or you die. It's time for you to go. So the ultimatum is you go marry her. Go marry a Cardi B or somebody. You know, I'm just not saying just picking on her, but I'm just saying a foreign woman. And you got to stay with her though. Because if you don't, then your soul is required to be sold. Now that's just what I heard. I don't know that to be absolutely for sure. But a lot of you that's in the music industry, you probably know more about that than I do. You probably know more about that than I do. Okay? Sisters, you are looked down upon from heaven. You're out here and you're everything that the world is. You're twerking. You have multiple sex partners. God is not happy with you doing this. He calls you the daughter of Zion. Do you know what the daughter of Zion means? The daughter of Zion, God calls you the daughter of Zion. Zion is a high place, a place upon a hill. Israel and Jerusalem is a holy place. He calls you the daughter of Zion because that's the land that he had given to you. And you twerking, multiple sex partners. You're walking the streets, you're prostitutes, you're whores. God is not pleased with you. The Zion is a place that's devoted to Yahuwah on earth. And he called you the daughters of Zion. You are despicable in the eyes of the Most High God. God said 2/3 of you are going to be destroyed. And you know what? The world can tell who you are by the fruit that you bear. Family, some of us was chosen. Not all of us are the chosen people of God. But some of us was chosen, and some of us was called or invited to the life of forevermore. You have opportunity, and you need to come before it's too late. I know you've heard this over and over and over and over again, and I hear some people say, well, you know, I used to be a Christian. I'm not a Christian anymore. But they call me religion. I'm not religion. I'm just, the things I'm saying is strictly from my culture. I'm not religious. We don't have a religion, okay? And you're always talking about the end of the world, and this gonna happen to people, and that's gonna happen to people. One day is 1,000 years of our years to the Most High God. One day is 1,000 years, and nobody here to live to be 1,000. That's why you heard it all your life. Nobody lived to be 1,000. You're lucky if you live to be 90 today. So, this is gonna end my video, and you all take it for whatever it's worth to you. I'm not trying to put anybody down. I'm not trying to dog anybody. Everything that I said is from the Bible, and if it's something that I said that you don't understand, you can hit me up in the comment sections, and we can find it, and so you could be, have clarity to what I said. I'm not prejudiced. It's not that I don't love people and that I hate and mistreat people and I'm prejudiced. I have a lot of people say that, from time to time. You know why I don't like racism? You don't even know what racism is. The Bible, because you don't know what you're talking about. You've been misled. So, I thank you for tuning in to Biblical Hot Topics. And I would like to get a thumbs up for this video if you feel that some of the information from this video resonated with you. And I just hope more than anything else that this video open up your eyes and help you to see that a change in your life is needed. Thank you for tuning into Biblical Hot Topics. Shalom.